Dogman thinks he owns my lake, or our entire village are werewolves. Dear Scary Stories NYC, for our entire lives, my wife and I have sought upward mobility. Now that our youngest is in college, we finally were able to afford to move into a neighborhood of older school rich people. Although we adore our new neighbors, there are a lot of eccentricities and strange hardships we never had to deal with when we lived among the working class. For instance, when we lived in an apartment building, we never wondered if all our neighbors were werewolves. I'm not using a word like werewolf randomly either. On one of our first nights in the house, I woke up at dawn to find my wife, we could call Martha, staring out one of the windows in the back of the house that overlooks the lake we share ownership of with some of our neighbors. The sunsets and sunrises around that lake can be spectacular, so I moved in close behind my wife and squinted out the window to see what she was looking at. I was greeted first by a multicolored sky that caused me to issue an involuntary little ah sound. And then my eyes fell upon the main item of interest to my wife, the thing which had caused her to stare. There was a man out there, facing away from us and observing the lake like he owned it, and his presence caused me to involuntarily gasp. He appeared to be nude, but he also appeared to have a coat of short fur or hair covering his entire body. I've seen photos from ages past of sideshow freaks covered entirely in hair from head to foot, and I always wondered if those pictures were real. Maybe that's what my wife was wondering about this guy. I tried to lean closer to the window without disturbing Martha. To steady my balance, I reached out my hand and grabbed the edge of the window, making a soft, bumping sound. When I did so, that figure turned his head quickly toward us, and my wife and I ducked down under the window, as though that hairy individual out there were the owner, and we were the trespassers. And as I hugged my shivering wife while we hid under that window, I had the image of that hairy man's face burned onto my retina still. It was the head of a dog. A dark gray wolf-like dog head with large, leathery nostrils and oversized meat-eating chompers. I saw it as it turned toward me, and I watched it as I sunk down to hide like a coward. It sure didn't seem like a mask, but I had only seen it at dawn through a window. Maybe it was a man wearing a mask, I tried to tell myself. As we huddled down there, I listened, because I hadn't heard the creature man leave. Was it still there? Was it creeping closer to the house? If I looked up, would I see it staring back down at me? Was it gone? Or was it still frozen in place, in the exact same location? A shiver ran through me just thinking about it, which caused Martha to shiver again herself. Our daughter had quietly entered the scene and was silently staring at us, trying to figure out what we were doing huddled under the window like that. Finally, she flipped on the light and asked us what was up, and we nearly both had a heart attack. I banged my head on the bottom of the windowsill as I stood up, and it was generally a bad way to start the day for me personally. Even as I was typing that last paragraph into my email, my wife and daughter burst into the room, carrying their large cat, and emotionally made me swear not to let their cat outside anymore. It was easy to agree to, since I never let their cat out or in or anything in my entire life. It runs when I approach and won't let me pet it, which is all fine with me. The cat and I consider ourselves separate but equal, if you know what I mean. Nevertheless, I listened as the two of them told me their latest horror story. Just a few minutes ago, according to them, they had been watching the cat outside in the back, walking through the snow. Suddenly, this dog-headed werewolf, which my wife insisted was the same one that she and I had seen staring out over the lake, leaped over the back fence, and raced the poor kitty to the back door. The two ladies informed me that I was to remove or board up the cat door in the kitchen, and that Kitty was strictly a house cat from now on, for the sake of her own safety. I was like, fine, whatever as far as the cat went, but I wanted to hear more about this predator supposedly coming on our property, trying to eat our pets. I had only seen it from the back and standing still. I couldn't really fully picture it racing after a cat. Did it run on all fours? Did it run like a man? It turned out that it did a bit of both, sometimes leaping objects while upright, and other times using his hands to balance himself while leaping and thrusting himself forward. My daughter said it runs like a man, and then it runs like a dog, and then it runs like a monkey. It uses what it needs to use to propel itself forward. It can run on dirt as easily as it can swing from a nearby tree. Even having that described to me caused my blood to run cold. I think this description really causes me to be afraid of the creature. I asked them if it was still by the back door, and they didn't seem to know. The idea of it lurking around the home we live in gives me the absolute creeps. For all I know, the thing is still outside even as I type this. Our successful grown son with his own family was following our problems on the phone, but that didn't stop him from having strongly held opinions. He felt and still feels that the werewolf must be a relative of one of our neighbors. He insists that if we were to ask around, we discovered that they already would know exactly who or what I was talking about. He reminded me of the story I had told him, the real estate person who sold us the place. She told us that the neighborhood was like a soap opera. When we asked her which one, she laughed and thought about it and then responded, "Dark Shadows." We hadn't heard of that one, but later on when I looked it up, I'm sorry to say it was a pretty good description of the people we live among now. Our daughter says all the kids in her college think that our town is run by a coven of werewolves. I told her there is no such thing as a coven of werewolves. It's witches that come in covens. I've explained this to her over and over. Each time I'm done, she just looks at me blankly and insists all over again that our town is run by a coven of werewolves. I have one more story that our mailman told me when I was asking him about weirdnesses I should look out for around here. He told me that one dark morning, he saw a dog stare at him while he was delivering the mail in a really intense fashion. The dog was making him scared to do his job. He didn't know if the thing was going to jump up and run after him. Well, once our mailman put the mail in that mailbox on that dark morning, he claimed that the dog who had been watching him stood up on his hind legs and walked away like a man. So my family are not the only ones seeing things like this around here. I don't doubt that this is real. I just need to know if this is an actual danger for us. Obviously we'll keep the cat inside, but is this a danger for us humans? If we're going to get along with people from higher income brackets, we're going to have to be flexible and accept that they may have different cultural practices from regular normal people. I just need to know if my wife and daughter are going to be safe living here, because I think our entire village are werewolves. Sandra, she leaves me with a lot to ponder. We're talking about dear Sandra Freeman and whether Dogman is a he-man or human or what. Please join us in thanking Sandra Freeman for making this episode possible. In exchange for being our executive producer, we share with Sandra our weekly Sunday secret uncensored Dogman stories, far too wild to ever run on this channel. In addition, she shares other perks like getting to see shows in advance and having access to our over 21 hours of scary archived uncensored Dogman stories. You can share these perks too by simply joining our PayPal subscriber Subscribers Club at peterbernard.com, or else by doing what Sandra Freeman did and clicking the join link under this or any of our videos. We'll be back tomorrow with the 2 stories you voted for in the poll on our community page. But now, here's international TV spokesmongrel Henry Lee Dogman to fill in any details I may have left out. Hank? Thanks for watching till the end. If you liked what you saw, please consider clicking like on the video or sharing it with your friends and family that you think might also be interested. If you would like to see more of our work, please consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon next to the subscribe button so that YouTube will alert you when we put out a new video. To become a channel member and gain access to our special perks, you can click that join link under each of our videos. Another option is to join our PayPal Subscribers Club at peterbernard.com. You can join for as little as 99 cents on YouTube or $1.50 at peterbernard.com, and that gains you access to our weekly secret uncensored episodes. If you'd like to see our 21 hours of archives of uncensored Dogman stories, then please join at the $3 level or above. To get to watch our shows in advance of the public, please join at our $10 level. That gets you all the perks. If you join our channel memberships, you need to check our community page here on YouTube in order to get the links to the secret videos and other perks. If you're in the PayPal Subscribers Club, Peter will email you all the news and links himself. Once joining the PayPal Club, which is Peter's homemade club, please give him a chance to see that you've joined and to compose you a personal welcome email, as none of that is automated. But whichever you join, we'll name you an executive producer for the next available episode. Do you have a scary experience that you'd like to share with us? You can email us at scarystoriesnyc@gmail.com or call our Scary Stories voicemail hotline at 804-LA-SCARY. That's 804-537-2279. It's a Google voicemail box, so that means it keeps cutting off after every 3 minutes. If your story is longer than that, please keep calling back and we can piece it together on our end. Good night, and have a scary tomorrow.
Come back for more scary stories.